Hi, I'm Paul.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the People's Podcast. I am your host, Paul Vibes, local motivational speaker. Our show is all about spirituality, self-development, connection, wellness. Please be sure to subscribe and follow us on a variety of different social media pages. If you know somebody that would be a great guest to our show or sponsor, please reach out. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Paul Vibes here. Welcome to another episode of the People's Podcast. I have Paul Liasis on the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Paul.
Yeah, we got
good name.
Two Pauls. We got Paul from Bridgeside and Paul Vibes from the People's Podcast. It's a good a day to be alive.
I love it.
Welcome to the show.
How are you doing, Paul?
I'm doing good, man. I got the good vibes. I got you on the show. I can't complain. Life is good. You know, we were just talking before we started recording of how this time has brought people together, and you know, in the world it feels like there's a lot of divide, but it's amazing to see how people like you and I have made connections in the community that we maybe otherwise wouldn't have made.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny doing our streams. You know, I got connected with the people at VBT, Rob and Melissa, lovely people, and then which connected me with you. It's and that's what we're all about at Bridgeside, is just connecting with artists and creators and like-minded people.
Yeah. Before we get into things, I always like to check in with my guests. How you feeling today? How you doing? How's your vibe? What's going on?
My vibe is pretty good. It's a nice day out. Right now, it might rain later, but I'm feeling good. The last couple of days have been nice. Beautiful weather kind of puts you in a better mood, you know. So I'm enjoying that.
I noticed that my vibe, it definitely helps my vibe. The nice weather, the sun. And you know, and it's like a domino effect. You're smiling, other people are smiling. You get outside, you go on a hike, you get some fresh air.
Yeah, for sure.
Life is good. Life is good. Speaking of connection, you know, when I reached out to you a few weeks ago, you were so friendly. You were giving me advice. I had a couple of questions. Hope it wasn't too annoying. But that's what's so cool about people like you in the community. Is like, you're obviously successful what you do, but you're not afraid to like support other people and like, hey, I can answer that for you, or here's a recommendation. You don't just keep it to yourself. And I think in our world, in our generations, like, it's important to share. You know, it's important to give. And I can tell, you know, you guys at Bridgeside, you're always like sharing your content. You're always open-minded. You're friendly, and you don't just keep success to yourself.
Yeah. So this whole endeavor with Bridgeside Network is based on people. It's about the community. It started without a specific idea other than being creative with a group of people in my space I built out of my house. I built a studio and turned my house into a control room and kind of have a whole broadcast set up here. But it really was started with just like, you know, who wants to be a part of making fun stuff, and what do you want to do? And so it's really based on people, and thankfully we haven't lost sight of that. And in times like quarantine, I just wanted to make sure we were out there being live often so we could talk to people and let people know we're there to talk. And look, we found some great people.
Definitely. I love your
throughout
content.
that journey.
It looked the level of professionalism on some of these videos. And I got to say, I truly mean this, you know, people like you and the VBT, and as you know, we connected through VBT, like you said, and I was so grateful to be a part of their 36-hour fundraiser, as I know you were as well. And you guys really inspired me to push out of my comfort zone, because when you get into this realm of anything with a camera, microphone, lights, it can be very overwhelming, because just as soon as you think you mastered something, it's like, oh my God, I got to look up this and study this and the editing. So it can be overwhelming, but the live broadcasting, the live streaming is something I'm working on. And I know I got people like you to call up and hopefully ask questions, because that's a whole nother beast. But the interaction that I've seen on your show and the people that are interacting are everyday people. And the level of the quality of what you're doing, honestly, I look, especially the cooking stuff you guys do, like, this looks like I'm on the Food Network. And it's so cool to see like the level of quality that we as just people at home can get to if we put in the work. So how has that been? Like, looking at where you are now, how does that feel looking back at maybe like how you started?
Oh, when I look back at the first videos we did, you know, it's hard to watch for me, because the truth is I come from a production background. So that's like my work. I started an LLC for production in 2013, Bridgeside Productions, and Bridgeside Network just birthed out of wanting to have creative content. And so the network is just the two sides of me, the production work Paul, but then the network is the creative Paul, and want it in the community Paul. And so it's funny, you know, in the beginning, especially, I knew how to make stuff look good, and I would look back now and don't think some of the stuff looks good. The truth is we're just doing this on our spare time and with not like a full crew, like skeleton crew. And then over time we built up that crew, and the production got better as I learned how to utilize my time and the space and the people we had better to make it better. But, you know, the production aspect was the start, is that I knew production. I just didn't really have a team or the space. And we're just developing shows as we went. So, you know, we just got used to the formats and used to the setup, and it's about making the system quicker and more efficient, every day.
Yeah. I'm feeling that.
Yes. And it's funny you bring up, you know, reaching out, you know, to the community with production and people like, you know, that want to do stuff from home. I reached a point, you know, every year I hit a burnout kind of point, you know, just at least once a year.
I feel you.
It's only at the end of the year, because this is a side project. People think this is like my main job. This is not my income. It's not, the creative stuff isn't my main income. My main income is working production for other companies, and I edit over at NBC News. And I realized I had to sit down, because we started like doing shows based on all the interests of all the people here, which is very diverse because we have a diverse crew. So we were doing cooking and sports and just like kind of a variety of content, which is actually way harder to, you know, to grow successfully on the internet. Variety is extremely hard to do. And I had to focus in on who is the one person out there that would consume the content and understand what we're doing, even though it's variety content. Who's that main person? And I realized it's DIY creators. You know, it's people that want to do it themselves as well, and get the vibe that we're doing this out of a house. You know, we're doing this with a community, and you could do it as well. And the fact that you said you're inspired by it actually makes me extremely happy, because that's part of the goal, is we want to inspire DIY creators to keep going and do it, and also help with production while you figure out your own creative content. And yeah, so thank you for saying that. It's kind of affirmation for kind of where we're going and where we've been.
We're big on the vibes here. And, you know, I think we as humans, the longer we live life, the more we pick up people's energy and where they're coming from, and not just the words, but the energy they put forth, which is often more important than what they say. And you guys have both.
For sure.
You know, when I reach out to you, you weren't getting money from me, you weren't getting this, you were just like, hey man, like, what's up? And like, we talked on the phone, and you weren't rushing me. And that's something that's really important, because I think when you, in this field, there's a lot of egos, and we all have an ego, but sometimes when we get successful, it gets to our head, and it's all about the money. And there's a lot of people like that. So to meet people like you, the VBT, the Movers Group, Cushware, all these type of community members, you know, Kendra Black, or just had at my podcast, it's so cool to see just how appreciative, and like, you know, what's another thing that's really cool, and I'd love to talk to you about this more, is you see people crossing boundaries. You see people from the music scene connecting with people like myself, who's into the motivational speaking and the podcast. You have people like you who do like a variety of different stuff, just connecting with all sorts of people. And you see people from all different modalities and art coming together. There's no like, well, I don't know why I would connect with you because you're not doing what I'm doing. It's like, how can we just cross, you know, platform each other and support each other? You see a lot of that happening as well?
You mean as far as are people just going out of their
comfort
niche
zone? Yeah.
Well, I think the people that are really going to make it are always going out of their comfort zone. You know, if you're not going out of your comfort zone, you're not growing. And I think that's how you take a next step. Like once you get comfortable, that means you get complacent, and that means so will what you're putting out there in the world. You know, you constantly have to kind of push yourself. And this is something I work on all the time, and I struggle with sometimes. It's, you know, you take a while to get used to a format and get used to doing something in a system. And then you have to be able to say, maybe this isn't working this exact way, or the little tweaks for bigger success, you know. You know, I'm still not there yet. I'm figuring it out. Every day I'm figuring it out. So I like to be not comfortable and not complacent, but you know, as humans, it's easy to get stuck in that, but I just encourage people to,
Yeah.
know if you're not pushing yourself, the further you push yourself, the farther you can
Yeah, the
go.
further you grow. And I, something that we were speaking to before we started recording is this idea of enjoying the journey. And I know for me, it's
Yeah.
like, I try to get too bogged down about the numbers and the subscribers, and that stuff's important, of course. But
Yeah.
just, the numbers are important. But to me, I've always known in life that, especially in the beginning of things, the numbers aren't important. It's about enjoying the journey. And if you're passionate about something and you're doing it for the right reasons and you're enjoying, people can tell that vibe, that energy. And
Yeah.
in my life, I've been the most successful when I haven't been focused on the numbers and the views and the subscribers. I just did it because I
It'll drive you
enjoyed it.
crazy.
Yeah, it go crazy. Even when you're successful, I've met people who are getting all these features, and I said to them, I really put them on the spot. I said, "Are you happy?" And she paused, and she was like, "To be honest, I'm always comparing myself to the next person." I'm like, "Holy crap, you're
Yeah.
comparing yourself? Who's next? Who's the next person above you? Because you're getting on Forbes and this magazine and this." And that made me realize that if you look at celebrities too, who obviously got more money than they can spend, that if you're in that mindset of
They're comparing themselves to the next person who has more money,
yes,
so
and
it never ends. It's a never ending cycle. You'll hear Gary Vee say this a lot, and you'll hear, the YouTube specialists say this all the time. Just go against yourself, like if you're not happy or you're not liking it, then it's not worth doing. And don't compare yourselves to other channels and other people. Compare your new videos to yourself. Get better each time. So if you see, okay, say your views are kind of getting stagnant, learn how to get into the analytics of your videos and see where people are getting out, because it's ultimately, if you're enjoying it and you want other people if you don't care about other people liking it, then you shouldn't care about views. But if you enjoy doing it and you want other people to enjoy with you, you have to realize there's someone else on the other side of the lens, other side of the computer, on the smart device watching you. So it's kind of a give and take, it's not, yes, do what you love, but maybe your love for that thing is very specific to a group of people, and it's very hard to find that specific group of people. So there is kind of, and this is where people kind of, I don't want to say sell their soul, or at least have to compromise a little bit. Like, do what you love, but tweak it to where people can love it with you, meet them where they are. Sometimes you got to give people what they want in order to do your art, and that's the thing a lot of artists deal with. There's a saying, do one for the studio and then one for you. So
that's cool. I never heard that. That was a good piece.
I've been watching a lot of Community. If you know Community, the show, it was an NBC sitcom. I've been watching the Blu-rays, cast and crew commentary. And if you know anything about the Avengers movies and Captain America movies, the Russo brothers, these are great directors. They were a part of directing and producing Arrested Development and Community. So they're on the DVD talking about their experience. They made a film that won a festival, and they got noticed by Steven Soderbergh and George Clooney, and they just stressed that whole mentality. Guys, Russo brothers, one for the studio and then one for you. Do one that will make money, and then do one for your art. But that's the hard thing, and I have a problem with reconciling the difference too. Doing what you love and also surviving. Like, what makes money. So if you can make money as a side, if you have a job and your art is just your side hustle, but if you want your art to be your main thing, you still might need to have the side thing that makes money. Unless your art, if you can combine both things, you've won in life. But it doesn't always work like that. So that's kind of the biggest thing I deal with, and try to figure out reconciling what the team wants to do, what I personally want to do, because I'm the one living it 24/7.
Yeah, because you might have somebody that wants to pay you like a good job or a good production. They want to pick this up, but then you might be like, I don't feel passionate for this 1%. But at the end of the day, you got to put food on the table for you and your family. And you may not be selling your soul by doing one thing here, one thing there, but if it becomes your full day in, day out, where like, I hate this. Why am I filming this guy talking about this and he's racist? Whatever it is, like, you don't want to be a part of certain things.
Well, yeah, I definitely choose who I work with if they are morally compromised. But But generally, I'm a production company as well. So if I have to go do a job for a corporate event that's boring, I'll go do it. And then the show has happened here without me. Like we have a team that I trust, and it started with friends and family, and it's grown to new people that have become friends and family like. So I've been able to be away from here to go do something, and the
Wow.
show will still happen with the music show, like hosting artists. So we've definitely reached the point where I'm not needed for everything. But I'm definitely needed to fix things because I know
Call you up while you're on the set of, hey, what button do I press? Where do I go?
Yeah, that's literally happened. I've been in another state working a job and getting
Sure.
calls. But that's a good thing. That means that you have stuff going on. So you'll work through that stuff. That's an ideal situation where you're able to have the creative stuff happen and still do work for money.
That's amazing.
And we're still working on, figuring out how we make this the main part of the lifestyle. But it is a lifestyle. I think I shouldn't say the lifestyle, the main monetization of your lifestyle, but being creative is the lifestyle. So you got to figure it out. What's going to make you happy? I always like to say that I'm happy, but I'm not satisfied. Like I'm never satisfied. But I would say that I'm a pretty happy person, and I'm really blessed. And I look at all the things I have and I'm able to do, and the people around me. And a lot of people don't have the support system I have. So I'm very grateful. But I'm also never satisfied. So I'm always trying to think of how to progress.
Yeah, and spiritual, I like that philosophy because, you're not overly happy all the time. You're always working to improve yourself, but it sounds like you have contentment. You're content. You're still working on yourself, but you also are at a good place where you're not waiting to the weekend to live or enjoy yourself, or waiting until you have this many subscribers to start feeling happy.
Yeah.
You're at a place where it sounds like you're continuously working on yourself. I feel like I'm in the same boat. I think that often for me, I definitely need to stop and, as they say, smell the roses, smell the flowers, and appreciate. I do have a lot of plants in the room, so it helps, as you can tell. But, for me, it's like I need to slow down because I know how anxious I can be and how, like, in my head I can be if I think about things and get obsessed about the numbers and things. And to me, I know I'm always improving. Like I got a new microphone, I got new editing software, I got a new monitor on the way. And it's like, it feels good to be continuously improving. And
it's nice to get toys. Let's be honest.
Yes.
I have a problem. It's a sickness of mine, actually.
What's your latest toy in the set? What's the latest thing you got?
Well, I'm ordering a PC build right now. I don't have a PC here. And in order to do the live streams the way I want to do it now with the whole teleconferencing and.
What do you mean? You don't have a PC?
I don't have a PC.
How do you do all your computer stuff?
I have a bunch of Macs. I have Mac Minis, Mac Pro, MacBook Pro.
Wow. It's fun building a computer. I got my whole computer. People think it's a 3D printer. It's got a water cooler on the graphics card.
Nice.
I bought it off one of those guys at Craigslist. He was like a perfectionist. He has to buy the new one every year. And this one runs every game on ultra settings, modded. And I'm like, you know what? It worked out perfectly because now I can push the machine really hard. But, one thing I want to bring up, this idea of, not selling your soul and doing what you love. For me, growing up with a learning disability, I think I share with you, and the viewers watching this may know this about me. One of the biggest realizations of growing up with anybody, you're a human being, you're going to have challenges. For me, the biggest lesson I learned is the ability to ask for help, to seek help. Growing up with a learning disability, if I wanted to be successful in school and get through what I need to get through, I had to have the ability to advocate for myself and ask for help. And I really believe that what you're doing, what I'm doing, yes, it takes time and skills and you have something you have to work on, but I don't believe that I'm anybody super special. I believe that anybody can do this if they're willing to be open-minded, if they're willing to learn, if they have, they're working and saving money and getting the equipment they need. But I don't believe that what we're doing is not suitable for other people. I think that people can be on camera and promote themselves and start a brand. When I'm up here, I don't look at myself as somebody, oh, look at me, I'm Paul Vibes. Like, this is amazing. It's like, I want to inspire other people to do the same, whether it's doing live stream, whether it's starting their own brand, whether it's just putting out their poetry or putting out their, their quotes. Like, I want people to be empowered to be themselves. And also one thing I do as a speaker is to have people, advocate for themselves. When I speak at schools, I want the kids in the classroom to be able to seek help, whether it's reaching out to their counselor, reaching out to their parents or a friend's parent when they're struggling. And you see a lot of people within our community, like, for example, VBT, we connected with them and we were part of this amazing fundraiser. But if we didn't have those skills of communication and reaching out, we wouldn't be able to have these different relationships. So I'm curious to you, how important to you is networking and connecting, and what advice do you have for people who also want to network and connect with others?
Yeah, great question. I'm going to answer in a couple parts.
Yeah, take your time. I know I put a lot at you.
The beginning of that, you said that you need to ask questions, right? So I just want to address that real quick. If you're on a set, especially a set that's definitely open to learning, that's a good thing about what we do here. We give people are working for free. People are essentially working for beer and pizza on our music show on Tuesdays.
Where's my pizza?
Yeah, well, you got to come to the show, buddy.
I'll bring the coffee. You get the pizza.
I gotta put you on a camera or something, but you gotta figure. Start out with social media.
I'll bring the good vibes. All right. I'll bring the good vibes.
But we have people come here, and half the people are production professionals that are either doing a different aspect of production or exactly what they do, but they're kind of it's their creative outlet. And then the half people are people that wanted to learn, like a couple of the guys from the cooking show, Dave. If you've seen the cooking show, the guy who eats, Dave became an amazing cameraman. Like, he's phenomenal. Like, he's not an engineer. He didn't take it to a level of professionalism as far as like that's his life now, but he can go get on a camera and shoot with the best of them.
Nice.
But with everything, you talked about asking questions. If you're not asking questions as a leader, I'm assuming you must know everything. So if you're not asking questions and you don't know everything, you look kind of silly, so ask as many questions. I used to ask a lot of questions. People, some people get annoyed, people who ask questions. Forget about those people. Ask as many questions as possible. But don't ask the same question, make sure you're retaining the answer to that same question. But constantly ask questions. That's the only way you grow, get over yourself and what other people might think of you. I think that's the biggest thing in life, is not being afraid to be yourself and to ask questions and to be honest and vulnerable, and understand that some people are just going to be jerks. But once you can get that, and listen, we all deal with it. I still deal with it, my own insecurities. Everyone has their insecurities. But as far as now taking that to the importance of community and networking, if you want to be on social media nowadays, if you're not ready to build a community, you might as well stop, because the likelihood, the percentage that you're going to have a viral video, which doesn't really exist as much nowadays, because millions of views doesn't mean it's viral. It can mean a lot of different things nowadays, campaigns behind it or whatever, brands behind it. But if you're not ready to have a community based around what you're trying to do with your videos or your content, then what are you trying to do? If you're just trying to get out there and just say what you want to say and not care about if there's someone listening, then again, do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. But if you want a following, if you want people to care, the best way to do that is build a brand around a community of the people who are like-minded. So there is extreme importance in the networking aspect of that, So what we were really good at, and I'll give an example from my experience, we have a great group of people here, but people might not know that. If you watch the first couple of years of our videos, you just see high quality content and be like, oh, this is good. This is really good quality. People don't know if it's in a garage. Not that the quality, the content shouldn't speak for itself, but the story behind it and the people behind it is maybe even more sellable than the content itself. People want to connect with people, not with a logo or with a brand, So we've been in the last little while, especially, we had this whole plan. I took a YouTube course to kind of focus in on a brand. I kind of mentioned it before. Like, we started producing all this stuff, but what's the brand? Like, who is that person we're trying to reach since it's variety content? And so DIY creators is where we went to go. So we had this whole plan before quarantine hit. We only shot one thing before quarantine hit, but we wanted to tell the story of the shoots while doing the shoot, while giving the content.
That's people love that more than the actual video oftentimes.
But like, we're going to give the same content of how to do the dish or how to do what we're doing or what's the story at hand. but it's about the community here. And I found that we're really good at word of mouth, and people know us by word of mouth. We've had over 150 bands here in the last few years. So word of mouth has been great. And word of mouth, just saying how great the people are here, is unbelievable. But representing that digitally is actually something that we probably haven't been really good at. So that's definitely, you want to build that community and that community vibe, Paul vibes, but and constantly network, because you want to grow that community and you want to do it with people that are like-minded. So VBT, I've only known them since the middle of quarantine.
Me too. Same.
But now I feel like they're like really good friends, and I can't wait to actually physically meet them. And it's crazy, what one little thing can do. We had this idea of doing a 24/7. We've had so much content, and I didn't want the content to be buried in all these videos we have on YouTube. So I was like, let's do a 24/7 stream. So I've been talking about that for 2 years. I'm finally like, all right, we've been building the content with a ticker, so that it's pre-recorded. It comes from a different date. The presentation, yada yada yada. But we finally just said, all right, we're pushing it out, even if we're not fully, the library isn't fully done. And positive things happen through that. I'm talking to you right now because of that, because I decided to put that out there. So, and that led to networking. So it's hard to network if you're not putting yourself out there. So
yeah, I just got to add to that.
It's extremely important. I don't know if I answered your question.
You definitely did. You did. Max. Answered it and more. And I think that I like what you said about VBT and being friends. And I hope that the two Pauls can come together,
man,
Paul Bridgeside and Paul Vibes, because, you're somebody that I could definitely see myself, not just having a professional streaming relationship with, but, being friends with and supporting each other. And like, I feel like, we really do a good job. And the same thing with VBT and you is like putting the realness out. And that's something I'm continuously working on. Because I like what you said about behind the scenes, because people love the rawness. The edited videos are nice, the high quality, but they like the behind the scenes, the bloopers.
Yeah, I think that's hurt us a little. Not hurt. I don't want to say hurt, but like when you see something high, I've been thinking about this a lot. People think this is like when they see me share, oh, wow, this is good quality. He must be doing well for himself. The more I post, creative content, people think I'm doing well, which I
made it. That's another thing. You made it. You got it.
Yeah, I'm making it. When they don't know, there's like, I'm looking at these views too, and I'm like, put myself down. Be like, but you got to not do that, like, don't just look at the views, look at everything that's, your overall happiness and the people, the community you build is really more important than the views.
Quality over quantity. And I can see, and even as I improve my equipment and I spend more money, and I can imagine how that might be for you, because you obviously you have parts of your house is dedicated to this. So
yeah.
I can imagine if I'm like thinking like that once in a while, like comparing myself to the views, can I imagine when I spend a lot more money and the numbers aren't there? But like you just said, it's so important to like bring yourself back down, become, get more grounded and be like, listen, but the quality of the viewers, the people watching are engaged, are connected, and they're into it. I have thousands of views, but the people that I am connecting with are really loving it. And I think we got to remind ourselves, because even if you did have 1 million subscribers or 1 million views, like we said before, you might still be wanting the 2 million. So there's always this sense of wanting more. And through my spiritual work, and I don't know how much you're into the spirituality and different, we can talk about that as well. To me, mindfulness and meditation, and I have a lot of those people on my streams, on my videos as well, my podcast. But that's such an important, I think I would lose my mind without my spirituality practice and my mindfulness. How are you with that? Are you into meditation, mindfulness? What's your thoughts on that stuff?
Really quick, I want to kind of make a response to a couple things you said.
Sure, please.
I will totally bring it around to mindfulness through spirituality.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we're saying, like people like behind the scenes, right? Or people want to. Ultimately, social media and all these apps that connect people, like Zoom, right now, is very much that. It's people are attracted to connecting with humans. So this is why vertical on your phone. I used to say never shoot vertical. But now people are so used to seeing people through this window,
Instagram,
vertical,
right? Yeah.
It seems like it's real. So like, and if you're like not being real, and if you're being fake, like people see right through you. Like if you're trying to sell something, not from being yourself and whatever, if you're acting, people can see right through when it's not real. So it's important. So we definitely want to make a conscious effort to always be real, so people can feel like they're in a real community where they can talk to us. And yeah, it's definitely part of it. I forgot what else
The
you said that I was
spirituality stuff.
no. I mean, but there was something else. But I'll get into spirituality. So I grew up in a church. I grew up playing music in church. I grew up with my parents are still music ministers at their church. I haven't really been there as much in recent years, but I definitely have my reflection time, and meditation, But yeah, how does it play? What was the actual question?
Well, my question is like, what is your spiritual practice? What is your thoughts on spirituality and how you maybe incorporate it? Or maybe if you don't, that's fine as well. I'm just curious, because I find for myself with this stuff, you can get in your head a lot, and it's important.
Yeah, I think it's always good to stop and clear your mind and talk to yourself and meditate with yourself and your higher power. Whatever that may be. I'm a Christian, but so if I have that time of reflection, talking to God, talking out loud, sometimes just whatever that is for you, you need to stop in a quiet place and kind of reflect on things. I think that's super important. But at the same time, when you're in quarantine, you need to get out. Sometimes, or meaning you need to, I think being in my own head too much in quarantine has been negative at times. Even if it's at a place of meditation or talking to myself or talking to God, you need to talk to other people, to clear that up. Or at least I do. Maybe everyone has a different process. I've been surrounded by people my whole life. I grew up with a few siblings, a lot of cousins, friends. This has always been the music house. I grew up in this house. My parents live upstairs. I took over my uncle's apartment downstairs and did this whole setup. So, so it's different for everybody. A couple guys on the crew I know are super into meditation, and they've been doing this class or this app that has, I forget who it is. I forget the Facebook page or whatever page it is, but it's super important to reflect. And if you keep on, the hustle and bustle, especially in New York City, sometimes you need to really stop and reflect, but not over reflect to the point where you don't get things done. And I think sometimes, especially in quarantine, I've kind of had to deal with both ends of that and make sure I just get out there and don't be too much in your own head where you're not creating. You gotta just be free enough to screw up and learn rather than constantly reflect without doing. So
definitely, I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's important to get people's perspective from you. I appreciate you being vulnerable and talking about this stuff, because there's a lot of people who get into this field, and even myself, and we don't know what we're getting into. We don't know the stresses that are on the way and that are involved in different things like this, because it can be so rewarding. It could be a meditation in itself, and with the editing and the production. Like I know when I do a podcast, like I'm going to walk out of this feeling naturally high. But behind the scenes, man, I think people look at people like you and I, and obviously you're at a different level than I am in my journey. But people might look at us and think, oh, they made it. Look, they put out this great energy. They're doing amazing. They probably make a ton of money. They probably are so cool. But they don't understand.
The cool part they got right. But the other stuff, the cool part they got right.
Yeah, they're cool. Good vibes. So. But it's true though, right? Because there's a lot that's involved in putting yourself out there. And
production seems glamorous, right? Or like even like I worked at my first job was at a production studio in Manhattan, where we did live interviews to satellite, to morning shows. So sometimes celebrities or spokespeople would come in and promote their movie or promote a product. They come in, they'd sit down, they talk to a camera, and I'd post a picture of me on set with this person or whatever. People think it's all glamorous. No, it's like after the shoot, I'm cleaning their earwax out of an earpiece, it's work. And celebrities are people as well. Sets aren't glamorous. The days are really, really long most of the time. And you feel crummy a lot, it's, if you love it, it's great, but it's not everything you think. It's not all like, people, me laying on a couch and someone feeding me grapes because I'm on a set with a celebrity. No, it's not, like, unless you want to do that on your break. But, so if it's like, it's just a job, you know, it's another job. And it's just, we're vulnerable to put ourselves out there when you're on camera. That's just another thing. I think people are encouraged by the vulnerability, but it's also scary to be vulnerable. It's really scary, you know,
Yeah,
like
you put it out there.
no
It's
one
there
wants
forever.
to, suck, but the truth is you may suck in the beginning. But my whole thing is, whatever you're doing, you probably will. The first time you set out to do anything, you're probably going to suck at first. But I think if you care enough about it, you're going to care enough to get better each time.
Definitely.
And if you're not getting better each time, you have to reevaluate yourself.
Mm.
But if you are getting better each time, you have something to work off of and to say, the sky's the limit if I keep working, right? You know?
There's always room for improvement, and I agree. I
Yeah,
think
it's
that is always.
repetition, especially like sports. It's repetition. Your jump shot's not going to be good if you're not out there shooting every day, you know?
We just had somebody on yesterday who's a former kickboxing champion, and now she's a mental coach and striking coach for UFC fighter,
Wow.
Ultimate One fighting champions, and she's met many champion fighters from UFC and all this. And then we had such a deep conversation about how when she was told that she'd never, well, you're too fat and anxious to be training, and then when she became champion, oh, it's all by luck, and no, but now you want to train. That's not a good idea. And she's accomplished so much.
Yeah.
And she's literally said, it's said a lot, but it's, some people, they really feel like if I can do it, anyone can do it. And, I'm sure you can look in your life and do things from the past. And I even viewed things in my past, like, wow, like I've come so far. And, I just want people watching this, whether it's to reach out to you, Paul, or me, Paul Vibes, if they have questions or they need somebody to talk to, or they need to be directed somewhere where they can get resources and support, whether it's for any reason, whether it's production, whether it's for mental health, whether it's they need somebody to talk to. I want people to feel comfortable reaching out. Now, and speaking of reaching out, I want to know, as we close up here, where people can find you, and also what content people can expect, by following you. I think everybody should follow you because you really do offer a variety of really cool stuff. Plus, you're just a cool dude. Like I said, I look at you as a mentor. Don't let it get to your ego, but you're a super approachable guy. Hopefully that doesn't change, and hopefully that you'll still be there to answer some of my questions. But
Absolutely.
yeah, tell us a little bit about what stuff we can find on your channel and where they can find you.
Yeah. And again, Paul, thanks for having me on the show. Last couple of weeks, I kind of slowed down from doing I was just live every day during quarantine, since I had to figure out how to be without the team here, and we were figuring it out. And now I'm ramping up. I'm taking a little break to ramp up for when we hopefully come back and
Get
start
ready.
shooting and get back to it,
Yeah.
If we're in the full swing of things, every Tuesday at 9:00, we have Bridgeside Live, which is a live music show with original artists of all different genres. So every week's a little different. With this season, the goal was to set out, and quarantine kind of ruined the beginning of the season. Not ruined it, but changed it. We want to give more of a behind the scenes look from what's happening. So you'll get to see in picture of the shooting as the show happens. The main box will be the performance, and in the little boxes within the screen, you'll see the cameramen working, the people in the control room.
That's cool.
And yeah, so that's going to be the live vibe. And then in a month later, we're gonna post a story based. We're turning the whole channel to be more story based. We're gonna be doing the shows we've been doing already, like our Cooking in Brooklyn show, which is two hilarious Italian dudes from Brooklyn, Danny Milano and Dave Casanova. Danny cooks and Dave eats, and they're my buddies, and I direct. But they do a cooking show, and we've been doing it remotely where I'm cooking and they're teaching me how to cook, and I'm not a cook. So that's the method we've been doing through quarantine, but we hope to get back in and do a story-based episode where we talk about the dish, the history of the dish, their experience with cooking the dish and eating the dish, and then doing it and giving that whole behind-the-scenes vibe. So you'll see me as the director more in these videos. That's rather cool. Than the main personality.
Well, I'm always here to test the food. Maybe let the other guys come in. When they start cooking, not come in.
We will definitely have guests. We started a Patreon. We started right before quarantine, and I felt really weird promoting it during quarantine, asking for money when people are out of work and stuff. But this has been all out of my pocket and people's time just this endeavor. We've had bands come and pay for the dinner. We have a dinner fee, and we do sell files if they want the raw files, but it's peanuts compared to what it costs to really
I'm on the
get the
same boat of
gear.
the cost of these
Yeah,
shows.
so it's hard. We're trying to support artists, and while we have the same issues every artist it's monetizing your art. So yeah, if you go to the Patreon, you can patreon.com, go Bridgeside or Bridgeside Network. You can find it and you can support the whole cause, so we can eventually not charge bands, to come and do a show. And we don't charge them much, but still, any little bit counts for some bands. But yeah, I didn't mean to get into the Patreon thing, but
No, definitely. And I just want to add to that. The cool thing about if people do that, I'm sure they get some obviously behind the scene content.
yeah, perks, and we have merch where I'm almost 100% done with the build of all the site with all the merch, but you can go and get merch for our different shows like Cooking in Brooklyn, Bridgeside Live. We have a show if you're into sports and betting on sports. We have a show called Pick 'em with Donnie and Boo. Right now we've been doing simulations since there's no live sports. We've been doing simulations of different things through NBA 2K20, but we're going to get back to live sports soon. So we do that. And we also do a show called Brooklyn Versus, which it's like an argument game show where the best argument wins, and I am the non-biased judge.
That's cool. I dig that, man. That's
and
cool.
we pit two subjects in pop culture and lifestyle. Like we're eventually going to do Mac versus PC soon. We've done some different stuff like peeing in the shower, like lifestyle things that people don't talk about that are funny to argue about. So we're having fun with that show. We're going to come back with that and also do the story-based version of that. So those are some things to look out for. We're going to get back into doing more charity streams now. We're working on one to support, everything going on with movement for Black Lives right now. And we're going to have some of our artists come on. We're working on that to see how we can just bring people together. That's the whole vibe. It's building community. So
amazing. Well, I'm excited to see how those shows go. I just want to throw it out there that I'm also doing a panel of young Black individuals from the community to come talk about a lot of the important issues. So if you know anybody, and I can send people your way, and we're always networking and supporting each other anyway, but I think that's important for each one of us to kind of do our part. And I'm happy to hear that you're doing that. That's super cool.
Yeah. It was like, I made a post the other day, which talking about vulnerability before, I made this brand around not being political or religious, like, whatever I grew up with or whatever I believe. I don't want that to be a part of the entertainment, because I feel sometimes people just want the escape and to just shut down. And
you want to break from that stuff. Yeah.
Want to break from that stuff. But also our example of our crew here is we have people from all different races and creeds and political views, but we still love each other. And I don't see that in the world as much nowadays. So a really good example of what I want the world to be is how people can come together and still love each other and disagree with things and be from different backgrounds. So the content, although, I didn't want to be that, I made a post the other day just saying, my support for Black Lives Matter and just saying that because they do, and they, Black individuals in this country go through, and in the world go through a different walk of life than I've had to go through. And we all need to realize that and empathize with that. So I made a post. I said, I don't post anything political. I've never literally posted. I don't post my personal opinion about things, about anything ever really. Like I'm not that kind of social media person, and it's fine if you do, but that's just not who I am. But I made a post. I just made a post just saying like, I would be remiss if I didn't say something, because we're about building community. And we, it always upsets me when people are biased against other people and can't have. I was always the person that wanted to connect my different groups of friends into one big group of friends.
Inclusion, yeah.
So I was very inclusive, just in going to the movies with different, like just in general in life, and like bringing people together. So that's just been part of my DNA. But so yeah, we're working. We're meeting with the team for the first time, socially distant in my backyard tomorrow.
Hope it goes well.
Yes, and just to talk and catch up and see how we can support. I've talked to some artists about how we can make this charity stream beneficial and pick a good cause, maybe based in the arts specifically, which I found a couple of good causes online. And again, it's not a political issue. I started that video with it. It's a human issue. So again, I don't think I'd said anything super political. And even like right now, it's not. It's treat people good, no matter who they are, and that's really it.
Yeah.
And everyone should get a fair shake in life.
I love that.
And a fair opportunity to succeed and live a happy life and be surrounded with good people.
In a way, Bridgeside is bridging the gap, you know, and you're bringing a lot
Yeah,
of
you know,
vibes.
use a lot of bridge puns, which I like to joke around with.
And
But
vibes too.
that's the truth.
Yeah.
We build a community. So we want to support people to go out there, to be inspired by us being creative you can do things at your home. We want to inspire you that you can make things happen at your home. You can build a community around a show. You can build friends around doing art. You can grow in your production. We want to help you with that. So I got to get on my game a little more with the tech. I've been started to build my personal brand of being the production help person, because that wasn't really a part. Oh, that's another thing. That wasn't really a part of the content before, until I realized I really need to show people how we do stuff. And, that makes perfect sense. We need to offer value. Whatever you do on whatever show you do, you have to offer value to people. And that's another thing you'll hear from Gary Vee all day. Where's the value? If they're going on Paul Vibes to hear different perspectives and to feel good after, and to get different perspectives, but also, be part of community where you can talk, that's the value, entertainment is value at some point, but entertainment that does more is more powerful.
I agree. And I appreciate you. I may take you up on that offer of support with the production, because that's a whole nother beast. And obviously you have a lot of value because you have years of doing this and you're continuously learning. And you definitely inspired me. I'm not just saying that. You've been so friendly, so cool, and you make me feel more comfortable and capable of going to the next level, because I know there's people like you from Bridgeside. I know there's people from BBT and movers that can help me get to the next level. There's this saying, and I heard this in the speaker realm, is that rising tides bring up all ships. So if I'm doing well, I want other people to do well. I want other people to rise up. And I could save that information to myself and not share it, but there's no fun in that. You're not giving, you're not sharing. And I can tell that, knowledge that you have and tools that you have and resources that you have, that you're willing to share that. And, when you share, that good energy, that comes back to you. So I really appreciate you coming on the show. I hope that you're down to come in the studio, hopefully in the coming weeks or months, as soon as things clear up, and I can hug my guests and engage with my guests. And
I miss hugs, and we always say we hug here at Bridgeside to all
virtual hug. So
it's funny, it's funny. It's funny that it's funny. One of our slogans is we hug here at Bridgeside, and it'll be interesting to see when we start having new guests come. But you can go to Bridgeside Network on Facebook and YouTube. Go bridgeside.com. Check us out. We'd love to hear from you. Paul, you and your guests, let me know what tech things you want to help with, and I'll hopefully make a video that I can help you with that.
Definitely.
I need some feedback from everybody.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm working on the set a lot. I got some improvements coming, but I'm always, like I said, growing up with disability, I had to be open to learning and critiquing. So definitely always feel, even if you watch my video, watch this video, you can send me a message, hey, don't do this, or that was great. Feel free to be as honest and blunt with me as possible, obviously, constructive way. But
that's the thing. You need constructive criticism. You need people to help you, not to put you down, but also tell you, you need friends to be like, I don't like it that much, but this is good. That's good. Maybe someone else would like this. It's fine to get a different opinion. Your best friend may not be your audience, for what you're trying to do.
No, some of the best advice have been hard to swallow because they're honest, they're real. When everyone's just saying how great everything is and they're not telling you the little things that
they don't care enough.
And you brought great vibes to this podcast. Listen, I feel like you and I have no shortage of things to talk about. I would love to collab down the road and do videos out in the community, out in public with you, or do a vlog or a video by coming to your studio. I have a lot of ideas on, expanding my show as well. And I'm going to include all the links to your pages in the description.
Awesome.
I really, like I said, appreciate your mentorship, your friendship, and the good vibes that you brought to today's show. But hang out a little bit longer. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more after the show. But let's send good vibes to the viewers. And I hope to have you on again. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Paul.
Man for the people, message in a bottle, but he threw it in a podcast. Now it's full throttle. Life is never hollow, but if you ever feel twisted or need to be